LSU, let's just say they win it. Just say they win the vaunted SEC. Now, I'm going to pull a couple quotes from earlier. I think we all would agree. There's nobody that we're giving the automatic to this year. We haven't seen anybody that's like the most dominant, whether it's Bama 2020, LSU 2019, whatever. So with that said, what do you think happens? LSU wins that conference with 2 losses, and they beat a Georgia team. And you have TCU undefeated. We all know how hard that is. And you have an Ohio State and or Michigan undefeated. And you have a 1-loss Tennessee sitting outside. And you have a 1-loss, just to give it a USC champ, because their only loss would be 1 point on the road on a 2-point conversion to the defending Pac-12 champs. So we'll probably be top 10 by the end of the year in Utah. Clint, what do you think?
I disagree with it wholeheartedly, but I think LSU would get in.
Yeah, me too.
What's the disagreement? What's the disagreement?
I don't think
they will.
I don't think they should. I don't think a 2-loss football team should be able to get into the college football playoffs when other teams are undefeated and 1 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I mean, they lost to Tennessee by 23
at home.
Bumped. They lost to Florida State, and we're just going to forget about that because Chip Kelly and all the different stuff. LSU's been great in the past and all that kind of jive. I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. Like I don't think teams that are really good football teams that have bad luck, which by the way, George, that was at Ohio State that year that Virginia Tech, they lost to Virginia Tech by and it ended up winning it all in 2014. But Ohio's like I just don't think you should get the benefit of that. If you get in, you get in. But I don't think put in a situation where you got to start comparing teams. I don't think we should forgive a team that lost to a much lesser team at their place or lost 2 ball games. Or, to me, there's too many really, really good football teams that have earned their way in to start doing that kind of thing.
But how would the commissioner of the committee walk to a microphone and a podium and say, we got our 4 teams, the champion of the SEC is not one of them?
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just telling you, I don't agree with it.
Oh, I got you.
It's not, I mean, there's no way in hell that an SEC championship, whoever it is, doesn't get into college football playoffs. Bottom line, we've seen how many 2-loss teams have we seen get in? 2?
0.
Yeah.
You denied them, if you thought January 6th riots was something, wait till you see them Cajuns come screaming in there if they win the whole thing. Yogi, I see it like this. Just go with what you said. LSU wins it all. It's LSU, and then they bring Georgia with them because Georgia won the tie with Tennessee. So Tennessee's the prettiest 1-loss team in America. LSU, Georgia, Big Ten champ. And if TCU can remain undefeated, then hello TCU. And then Oregon and Tennessee go play some epic game somewhere. Yeah. They play in the parking lot of the championship game if they want to. But then the SEC gets 2 in, I would think.
Yeah. I think the interesting point of that is that we've all said on this show from the beginning to 47 minutes in that we want to value the entirety of the season. And I think in years past in the playoff, it's been like, well, it's going to be Alabama, it's going to be Clemson, it's going to be Oklahoma, it's going to be Ohio State. They got the best rosters, and even if they have 1 loss, like whatever, like their rosters are loaded, give them a month off and let them go play each other. And it's really hurt the sport. And I come at it as, and this is why I don't think the loser of Michigan or Ohio State should even be considered. And I believe that all of us, since we talked about the power of uniting in sport, there's never been a sport where you lose your last game and you're like, oh, keep going. Because everybody sees you that you passed this eye test or you think you're one of the best 4, especially when it's comparable record-wise, because nothing else is comparable, right? Like 8 conference games versus 9 conference games. I mean, all across college football, inequities exist. So I'm with you, Clint, on that. Like, I don't like that part of it. But I think we all understand the realities around that.
I hate it. I mean,
what's so shitty about it? Let me just, my last point.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you took a quote from Boo Corrigan from the first time he was interviewed by Reese Davis, and I love the question from Reese. He said, do you value conferences or conference schedule or the strength of a conference? And they said, no, not at all. It's all about teams. And I just think that's interesting because I thought in the first ranking, Clint, we talked about last week, A&M bumped up Bama, bumped up Ole Miss, and A&M has a 1 conference win. So I think it'll be an interesting dynamic around this. And if anything, if LSU wins and goes, man, I would love some world. I don't think it could happen because of all the money involved. But what world exists where there's like, let's expand this thing tomorrow. Have your 4 this year, and let's just expand this thing.
You're right. After Cincinnati getting in last year, and I loved it. I love the group of 5 getting in, but just the way the stars all aligned for that to happen, and then all of a sudden a 2-loss conference champion happens, and you go, well, you look at the eye test. Really, the team that lost the SEC championship is really the best team. That, according to the eye test, that's the best football team, but they're not going to get in because this 2-loss team beat them in a championship game on
But
1
imagine this. If Clint, you're on the west side of your neighborhood, Yogi, you're on the east side of yours. Yogi's team is by far killing everybody except that other team on your side of the neighborhood you lose to. Say you lose to Team Hughes. Clint battles his way through his side of the west side of his neighborhood, then sees the team you got beat by and beats them. Based on the structure, he's going to come in with some real chinks and he's going to come limping in. But based on how that's structured, he won his side. Then he knocked out the team that beat you. He stands on top of the heap. It'd be hard to pull Clint down and say, yeah, but Yogi's team looked better. They had fewer losses than you. Yeah, but I ran through the structure that you guys asked me to run through. And this is why I stand on top.
Well, here's my problem.
That would be some real drama right there.
That would be amazing. We're gonna move on in a second, but here's my problem with the structure. Last time Alabama's played Georgia in the regular season, non-2020, was when? A freaking decade ago. Yeah, like the structure in the SEC is jacked. Like the powerhouses aren't playing powerhouses. Like I think there's something to, again, I just go to the inequities.
Conference.
What's that?
I said even within conference.
That's the problem, like that I see on this thing, and we could beat that up all day long. But I want to move on.